So I've just had the most fun idea ever. And by just, I mean at about 12:30 a.m., I was lying in bed trying to go to sleep and just all of a sudden had this idea. And it's because I was thinking about two things. One, I was thinking about what to get one of my best friends for her birthday in September. It's currently the end of July, by the way, and her birthday is late September. One, she's great, and I want to get her something nice. And two, she's really been there for me the last year. The other thing I was thinking about was my tabletop RPG game that I play on a Friday night, which she runs. We're playing a system called Candela Obscura, which, if you're familiar with Critical Role, they came out with their own game system called Candela Obscura. We are essentially paranormal investigators, but we love the game and we love the way she runs it and we love our characters so much and we are so invested that we are just in it for the long haul.
Before a river of bubbling blood begins to stream from the mouth and into the sigils that surround them. As the chanting evolves, screaming into a fervent crescendo, Abel's daggers are lifted high into the air, invoking the great flayer. His voice, a deep, resonant chant echoing through the clearing, reverberating off the trees and blending with the whispers of the forest. You wish to witness the birth of the great flayer.
She jokes all the time. I mean, it is a joke. She means it as a joke, but she jokes all the time that I should write a book about our Candela adventures. I thought it could be really fun to write a short story version of our first mission that we did together back in January. So a mission, this one in particular, took place over like 3 or 4 sessions. So there's a lot to get through. 6 different characters whose points of view I can incorporate. I've already talked to all the other people at the table, and they're willing to like talk to me so I can include their characters' points of view as well. And I'm gonna write it up. She comes up with all the missions and she titles them, and this one's called Paint the Town Red, and it is about an artist who has been possessed kind of and is killing people that have done them wrong. In order to do this, I have asked her for her notes for the session. She has now sent them to me, and the way that I got them from her is I told her that I want to run the mission for another group that I play D&D with because they want to try Candela. Now, this is a lie. But she was so excited that I wanted to run one of her sessions that I think I am now going to have to actually run this session because otherwise she's going to be disappointed. But that means that I have her cold open. I have all of her descriptions. I have everything. And she is so good at these cold opens and descriptions. I just want to read you some of it. Oh, she's got a nice summary here at the top. A downtrodden artist sells the control of his body to a soul reaver, an entity capable of exchanging great power for the ability to inhabit bodies and carry out their whims and desires, most of which are malicious and vicious. So cold opening. Ready for this? It's so good. It's a late summer evening. A cool breeze drifts through the eaves, the chirping of cicadas chorusing as we meander slowly down a street lined with opulent Victorian-style manor houses. One house in particular this evening is abuzz with laughter and live music. Several dozen people are sporadically spaced throughout this house, dressed in their best glad rags, speaking in varying volumes, from belly laughter to hushed whispers and tearful sobbing. One too many drinks, perhaps. We've all been there. The young man reaches for the handle, swinging the door open and gently ushering the woman through as their lips still lock and hands rifle for zippers and shirt buttons. A single beam of streetlight filters through a 2-inch gap in the curtains. From what we can make out, the floor is wooden, patterned, and glossed. Flecks of paint seem to splatter about the place, and large empty canvases lay in wait to be chosen next. A painter's studio, no doubt. The wet slap of paint, which splatters up her arm, brings her out of the current moment with a disgusted sigh. She extends her hand into the beam of streetlight peering through the windows. The deep crimson color slathered over her hand drips down her wrist, unmistakable even in the streetlight. Blood. His hand clasps over his mouth in horror as he reels backward, stumbling over a footstool and onto the floor. A body lay, ripped open, crusted drips of ruby-red blood slowly leaking their way onto the large bloodied canvas beneath her. Well, creativity takes courage after all, Matisse says. Can you understand why I feel inspired to do this? So anyway, we've got descriptions for everything, all the NPCs, all the locations, and I've got notes about what our characters actually did, because I am the resident note taker in our group. I think this is going to be so good. So I'm going to do a little vlog. I'm going to add to this video every time I work on this project over the next couple of months. I do need to balance this carefully because I do have my own projects. I am on deadline for my next book at the moment. But you know, the heart wants what it wants. And right now I want to write a Candela Obscura short story. So I'm not going to start it right this second, but just got these notes from her and I'm so excited. I will see you when I next work on this. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to start today. I'm actually being really naughty because I am on deadline for my next book, but I cannot stop thinking about this project. And also Steph's birthday is coming up. It's in less than a month now, and I really want to give time to everyone else to like review it and contribute it for their characters' points of view. It's the 30th of August and I'm going to start now. I, in this sprint, want to read through the source material. So I'm going to try to read through this whole Google Doc as well as my notes. It's an 18-page Google Doc, so I should be able to get that done within this sprint. The next sprint, I should be able to start putting together the outline. I've run into 2 issues. First issue is that I was not a very good note taker during that first mission. My notes are not good. So I don't actually know a lot of what happened. Like the whole final combat, which I would usually record in like reasonable detail, I have nothing. My notes stop before the final combat. So I am having to like beg the other players for their notes because there's obviously not anything in the prep notes that Steph has given me about how that went. The other issue is that Steph decided to just like deviate from her prep notes. Like the way that we solved the situation at the end is like different than anything she had prepared. And it's because she decided to deviate because she was like, oh no, that's not cool enough. I'm going to do something different. Which like if the purpose was to run the game, that's fine because I could just do it as written or do my own cool thing. But given that my actual purpose is to record what we did, that makes it very difficult. So I'm having to pretend that I'm preparing to run the session in order to ask her some of these questions. I am now starting to try to put things into an outline so that I can understand where my gaps are. And I've decided I'm going to use a pretty strict like 8-sequence outline structure. I'm not going to do my whole outlining thing that I would normally do for a novel, just because this is shorter than that, and honestly I just need to get through it faster. It does fit nicely into the 8-sequence structure, so I'll show you what I've got. So you can see here we've got the cold open, which I've read to you, then we've got introductions, dilemma, first obstacle, midpoint, twists and turns, culmination and low point, climax, and resolution. And I've started to flesh out like introductions and dilemma. I obviously haven't fleshed these out at all yet, but I will do that as I go. And then from here, I should be able to, once I get to a certain level of granularity, decide which scenes are going to be written from which characters' points of view. Like introductions, I know that my character, because she was new to the chapter, she was new to like Candela as an organization at the beginning of this mission, the introductions are going to start from her perspective, but then I think that I'm going to switch halfway through to a different character who was also new to the chapter house. So I should be able to make those decisions from the outline. And it's only been 2 sprints so far, so I think by the end of today's sprints, which I've got 4 of them scheduled, I should be able to have a lot of those decisions made, which is great. Outline complete and point of views assigned. I feel really good about this. I have a lot of gaps, but like I feel like Steph will be still excited even if I have to take some creative liberties. And honestly, her mind is like a sieve anyway. So even if I make something up, she's not going to know. She's not going to remember. But no, I'm hoping other people will be able to catch things if I've messed them up. My goal for my sprints today, I'm hosting 4 sprints, so I know I'm going to be on for at least 4 hours, is to get really, really detailed outlines of each of my scenes done. Okay, so what I've now done is I have put all of this into Scrivener. So I've got my outline here, and within each of these sections, which will be chapters, I've got the actual outline pieces over here in my inspector. I've pasted all of my source materials in there, and you can see that actually by the time I've pasted all the source material in there, I'm already at almost 5,000 words, which is great. So now the next step is just to start writing. I'm gonna leave this cold open, the editing of this, for a while because I really just need to start getting some words down. So I'm going to start with this intro. This is going to be lots of new words. I have no source material really to go from, as you can see right here. This is very much focused on my character and how she's feeling joining this new group. So there's a lot to contribute here. So I'm going to get started. Okay, I kind of left you hanging there for a while, but I got everything set up in Scrivener, and then I wrote about 2,200 words. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I am doing a sort of boot camp challenge with my writing group this month. And you set like word count goals each day. So I have exceeded my goal for the day, which was 2,000. Successful start. It's the 3rd of September. It is almost 11:30. I am on my second sprint, but I didn't do any writing last sprint because I've been working on some video content for TikTok. Honestly, I spent a shit ton of time filming one specific TikTok video with loads of transitions. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of it, but I probably didn't need to spend that much time on it. So I did do myself a favor yesterday by stopping in the middle of a scene that I like knew where I was going with, so I should be able to dip right back into it. My probably too ambitious goal is to have this draft done by the end of the week. What that probably means is I need to get both intros done today. God, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get all this done this week. Yeah, I'm gonna need to get at least both intros done today. And then for the first dilemma scene, a friend of mine is writing it, or is at least gonna take the first pass at it, so I need to put together a really detailed outline and some prompts for him. I definitely need to get all of that done. I just need to get started. So it's 11:30, let's do it. And see, this is why we just start writing, because I now have 515 words by the end of the sprint. Less than 30 minutes. Just write, just start. Just start, figure it out later. So I did it, and I'm now out on a dog walk. Kirby's here. I finished the 2 introduction chapters, which is great. And I hit like 2,700 or something for the day. Oh, by the way, it's like 3:15. So when I get home, which will be about 4 o'clock, I need to type up all those notes for my friend that's gonna write his chapter. We're gonna do it. We're gonna see how it goes. Okay, I am a little bit more put together than usual because I have freelance calls directly after my sprints today, which means I only have 3 sprints instead of 4, which means I do not have time for a faffing hour. Normally my first hour of the day is like a little bit of a write-off. If I get to the words, I get to the words, but otherwise I'm like doing the crossword and stuff like that. But I do not have time for that today, so I'm gonna have to jump straight in, which is fine. I feel mentally ready for that. So I'm gonna jump into this first sprint with my character at the crime scene. I don't think that's ever happened to me where I've written the exact same number of words across 2 sprints, so that's very exciting. I've had a really slow start to the day. Not only is it super rainy and gross outside and therefore just feels really depressing, but also I have gotten distracted because last night I started on the cover and I've gotten very distracted working on that, so I'm going to show you that. I'm going to get this like professionally printed. It's not going to look like an actual book, but it's going to look as close as possible. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Oh. I am about to start my 4th sprint of the day, and I feel as though I've gotten nothing done, which is not true, to be fair. The first hour I did basically nothing, so that was a bit of a write-off. But then the second hour, I realized that one of my friends who's writing their scene for this project I'm doing had sent me his first scene, so I needed to read through that, leave some comments and questions for him to like clarify some things. And then I realized that his wife, who is also doing a scene, I needed to send her her notes. I'd promised her last night that I would do that today, so I had to compile all of those notes, and that actually takes a long time. Part of me feels like it would actually have just been faster for me to write the scenes than to do this, but I think I'm really gaining something by having them do it because it's their characters' points of view. And I'm actually, having read Mark's first scene, I'm like learning a lot about his character that I would not have known, and I think his perspective is different than I would have written it, which means that it's good that he's the one that's done it, so it's more authentic. So it's worth my time even though it's taking a lot of time. So I did that the second hour, and then during the third hour I finished her notes, and then I started writing, and I had lunch, and I got 713 words done. So I've still got like 1,300 to do to hit my boot camp goal. I've got like 1,600 to do to hit my Scrivener goal. What I will say is I am having so much fun. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I am, and I can't really tell why I'm enjoying it so much. Maybe it's because I just needed like a palate cleanser from working on my book. Maybe it's because I'm so obsessed with this game anyway. So like it's very normal for me to like spend mental time in this world. Maybe it's because we've already played out all of this, so I know exactly how it ends and I didn't have to do the heavy lifting of defining the narrative. Or maybe I am really enjoying this genre. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm having the time of my life, and that's really nice. So I'm really glad that I'm taking the time now to do this. And I am still in the back of my mind thinking about my book, and I do have ideas for that. And so I think I'll be able to come back to that really excited. We'll see how quickly I get through this. I have 2 more scenes that I'm supposed to write today, and they're big ones, and they're similar. Basically in the game, we like went to go talk to this one NPC, got a bunch of information from him, followed that information somewhere else, got more information that we then needed to go back to talk to that NPC. And I need to write the scene from the first time we talked to him and the second time we talked to him. So it's going to be a lot of the same. And there's a lot of information to get across. So I don't know how fun that's going to be compared to the other stuff I've been doing, but I need to get it done. So I'm going to start with the first one. It's now 11 minutes past 1, and that means I've only got like less than 45 minutes. Let's try it. I need every single person watching this video to please buy my books so that I can hire a cleaner and a chef and everything, because how? Can't live like this anymore. And by like this, I mean like every single adult lives, having to feed myself and clean up after myself. It's a nightmare. How do people do it? I still have a lot to do. I have nowhere near finished what I wanted to finish today. I'm beyond sort of word count concerns at this point, and more just like I want to get the chapters done that I wanted to get done. I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through one of them, and then the other one I haven't started. I don't know if I'm gonna get all that done, but I need to try. Like literally 4 months ago, I was doing all of this around a full-time job. How was I doing that? I'm gonna make myself an herbal tea and just get to it, because there's nothing else that can be done. So as you saw, finished the chapters I was working on last night, blew my word count goal out of the water, which is great. But at this point, I'm not super worried about the word counts. I'm more worried about the chapters and getting a good ways through the story. It's definitely made me feel really excited to like keep going today. I also talked to my friend Chloe last night, who is also in this game, and gave me a little bit of insight about her character and what they would be feeling during the part of the story that I'm writing from their perspective. And so I feel really equipped to start that this morning, because their scene is the next one. It's about 9:45, no faffing. We're just going straight into new words. I finished my one scene from my friend that I talked to last night. I did really want to get at least one more scene done, but I realized that I don't have the information that I need for that scene, because in the point of view of a character whose player has not given me any information. So I need to hunt that person down at our gaming club tonight and try to get more information out of them. And I'm so excited for my gaming session tonight, doing some very exciting things with my character. So yeah, that's me done for today. Normally, under normal circumstances, I do not write on the weekends, but because I am A, on deadline, and B, working on a different project while I'm on deadline, I am going to be writing over the weekend. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. I've done it. I don't know why my words are showing as weird in Scrivener. It's saying that I've only done like 1900 words today, but I've done like 4,900, 4825 to be specific, which is fantastic. And I've finished. It's not done because I need to go through and edit, but I also need to incorporate the chapters that my friends are writing, and that's 4 of the chapters. But I'm hoping I'm going to get that from them over the next couple of days. And in the meantime, I can take the chapters that I have written, but from other characters' points of view, and send those chapters to the players of those characters to make sure that they're happy with them, or so they can give me notes on like other things their characters would be thinking about, that kind of thing. Yeah, very exciting. Morning. So I've had some very bad news this morning, which is that my friend who is helping me, one of the people that's helping me with this project, is in the hospital. I knew she was sick, but I thought she was getting better. I saw her husband on Friday night at club, and he said that no, she wasn't really getting better. And then he messaged me last night to say, hey, it's unlikely that we're going to have the chapters to you because she's in hospital. Obviously, don't care about the chapters in that situation. I am going to write her chapters because I don't want her to be worrying about that. And one of his chapters as well, I will have to write, but that's, again, perfectly fine. It does mean that I've got lots of new words to do today. I've got 2 chapters from her perspective that I need to write. I also have what I've decided are going to be 2 very small chapters instead of 1 bigger chapter that I need to write from another character's perspective. I'd been waiting on that person to get me some details, and they just haven't, so I'm just going to have to take some liberties. And my goal is to get both of my friends' chapters and one of the mini other characters chapters done today, and then I'll do the other of the mini chapters tomorrow along with my friend's husband's chapters, one of which I'll be writing and one of which I will be incorporating and editing. So a little bit of a change of plans, but that's okay. I have the time. My husband is actually traveling for work over the next 3 days, so I've got loads of time and I'm enjoying it. I am really enjoying myself. So let's do it. Okay, so I was very bad at filming yesterday, but I got so much done, like almost 6,000 words. I did 3 chapters. So now it is Monday. I have had a morning full of freelance stuff and I am gonna do sprints this afternoon. I'm signed up to host 3 of them and I need to get the rest of this done, which means I need to incorporate the scene that my other friend has written. I need to write his second scene, and then I need to write a very short scene during the climax for one of the characters. That should be perfectly doable today. I do need to get it done today because then my friend that this is for, her girlfriend, who is also one of the people involved in all of this, she is reading the whole thing for me and I'm going to send it through to her this evening. And then that way, the rest of the week, I can be focused on edits because it needs some. I really don't want this to be more than 30,000 words. First of all, because it's going to make me go broke trying to get this thing printed, but also because there are some sections that I think are dragging a little bit right now. It's the first time that I've written out a lot of my character's backstory in such detail. Like I had it all in my head and I had some things in my notes, like in bullet points, but this is the first time I'm like properly articulating it. And I think I've gone a little bit long-winded in some of it, and so it needs to be condensed quite heavily. But anyway, that's a tomorrow problem. Today I need to finish drafting. So it's 2:20. What I'd really like to do is before I log on for the 3 o'clock sprint, I'd like to get, you know what? I reckon I can get the short chapter done. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I have one more chapter that I have to write in this whole thing, and I'm dreading it because it is a research chapter. It's the characters researching to find the answer, and I tried to fob it off on Mark and no, he can't do it, so I have to do it. I have to face the music, and I have to get it done so that my other friend can read. She's just messaged me to say, hey, are you gonna have this to me this evening? So I have to get it done. So I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna try to make it not boring for myself or for the reader. That was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. That's always the way. You always think something's going to be awful, and then it's not. It is a short chapter. It's like just over 1,000 words, but like I did it, and I did it in one sprint. I'm so pleased. I'm so happy. So now I just need to make some amends to chapters 1 and 4 and then send it over to my friend. And I think I can do both those things in this hour. Okay, I've done most of the edits. What I haven't done is the edits to chapter 1, just because I think that's going to take me a little bit more time and I want to get this over to my friend now before I need to make dinner. So I'm going to do that tomorrow and just tell her I haven't edited that yet. But I'm so excited! Good morning. I don't actually know if it's morning for you, but it's morning for me, and I am starting sprints for the day. It's about 10 a.m. Currently, I'm sitting at nearly 33,000 words, which is long and going to be expensive to get printed. So I need to start editing, and a lot of that editing is going to be trimming. But helpfully in Scrivener, I can track like a negative word count for the day. So that's what I'm doing. It's currently 32,704 words. And I mean, a dream would be to get it down to 30,000, but there's no chance that I'm going to be able to cut 2,000 words from a chapter that is currently 3,084. That would be a bit extreme. I also need to edit the cold open. So as you will have seen from the cold open that I read you, it's good. It's incredibly good, but it's not like a novel. It's a little bit more cinematic. So I need to do that today as part of what I'm doing. My friend that was reading it last night has not finished reading it through again yet, and says that she has a document where she's like putting her notes, which I know are like positive and constructive notes. So I'm not going to have that today. I don't think she's going to finish it this evening. So today is very much just about trimming that first chapter and editing that cold open. And then anything else that I do is a bonus. And then tomorrow I will have more editing to do. I do need to also send it to the other people that are involved in the game. They're not editing it, but they're going to read it and just say like thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing. So I need to get it to them ideally tomorrow so that they can have then the rest of the week to read it, and that way over the weekend I can make any last minute changes and then get it ordered maybe on Monday next week, if not sooner. And obviously there will need to be a proofread at some point, but I can do that while my friends are reading it. So anyway, that's the plan. Let's get started. So I only managed to cut, as you will have just seen, about 550 words, which is not anywhere near as many as I'd hoped. But honestly, reading it, I think it's fine. And it's now just over 2,500 words, which is on the longer end for this project, but some of the other chapters are that long. In fact, the very next chapter, which I was not told was too long, is longer than that. And it is giving like important information, but also I just had fun with it. And again, the beauty of this project is that like I don't need the average reader to be okay with it. And really interestingly, my friend that read it that said, yeah, it probably does need trimming, which I knew it did, but that kind of confirmed that she's not the audience for this. It's her girlfriend that this is for. And I know for a fact that some of the stuff that's in here that the girlfriend who's read it probably thinks is extraneous detail that could be taken out. I know that Steph will appreciate it and will enjoy it. So I'm leaving it in. That's how I've decided. Okay, so I somehow managed to end up adding words in editing that chapter, which I guess was reasonable. I don't know. Anyway, I have now edited, I think, everything that I'm gonna edit out until I get this feedback from my friend, and I've only taken out 433 words. Good morning. I have edits to do today. My friend sent me her notes last night, and there are only 2 things I need to change. One, which was something she mentioned before, which is just like a wording confusion. And then another one, which is just adding some description about a character. And so those are gonna be really easy changes to make. So I'm gonna do those this morning. I do need to proofread, but I think before I proofread, I'm gonna compile the document and send it to the whole group that plays so that they have a chance to read through it, because I don't want to have to spend all day today proofreading, honestly. But I'm thrilled that there wasn't anything else that she picked up on. Not because like I wouldn't have appreciated edits, obviously I would have, but it is just nice sometimes to feel like you did a good job. And that's how I feel right now. So yeah, I'm going to do those edits. I can definitely get those done, and probably the compilation of the document done within this hour. It's about 10 past 10. I've just started my first sprint of the day, so let's do it.
Hey, puppy.
Okay, so a couple things have happened since my last update. As you will have just seen, I got the amends from one of my friends and did those very early in the morning on Friday because I then had a day full of freelance stuff that I had to do. And then I got further amends, the last amends from everyone over the weekend on Saturday. And so then when I got back from a wedding I was at yesterday on Sunday, I had to do those amends. And then what I did was I placed the order. So I went ahead and sent it to print. This then didn't work perfectly because of a couple things. First of all, I found online the product that I wanted to use to print it ages ago. I picked it out because I'd done a bunch of research as to like what's going to be the thing that looks most like a book but isn't actually getting like a whole book printed. I decided what all I wanted. I used it to design the cover, all of that kind of thing. I then checked out, but the vibe of this, I mean, I showed you the cover. The vibe is very like antique-y kind of. And so when I checked out and then saw that they have recently started offering hardback books, which they weren't offering when I was doing my initial research, I was like, damn it, I really wish that I had ordered that to begin with. But I'd already ordered it, so whatever. Then I get an email. So when you're choosing the number of pages that you need, it says including 4-page cover, but I didn't know that that meant the actual external cover. I don't know why. I don't know what I thought that meant. And so I didn't choose enough pages for the document that I then uploaded. So I got a message that was like, your order's on hold because you either need to upgrade to more pages and therefore pay for those more pages, or you need to send us a document with 2 fewer pages. I called them and I said, hey, can we actually, since you haven't started producing it yet, can we cancel this order and do a hardback instead? So I then this morning spent a bunch of time redoing the cover with the appropriate like bleed and overhang and stuff like that for a hardback version, which I'm so excited about. I did pay for a digital proof just so that I can make sure that like I've done the cover correctly. But yeah, I've now placed the order for that. Oh, it's gonna have like a little ribbon bookmark and everything. I'm so excited. The only problem with this is that I think it just takes them a little bit longer to make the hardback ones. So my delivery date is now Monday instead of Friday. And her birthday party is on Wednesday. So I'm really cutting it close there, but I'm hoping for the best. So the next video I make is gonna be either a production update or me having the book in my hands. Frustrating update, I'm being told that I ordered the wrong size and that my cover artwork is not created correctly. I know I didn't order the wrong size because I can see it in the system, so I don't know what that's all about. And I used their PDF guide that they give you for how to design the cover. So I'm very frustrated by this. And then he tries to send me this new cover guide to use, but doesn't have any measurements on it. So I'm getting a little bit frustrated with this. So I'm gonna send them an email response and then I'm gonna ring to try to walk through it because I'm getting worried about timing. Been on with this guy for about 42 minutes and like I should be thrilled because I paid less than £150 for my 6 copies of this book, and the fact that I'm getting such helpful treatment is nothing short of miraculous. This guy Andy is fantastic and he's been helping me make sure that everything is right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So the cover's done. We can't
Amazing.
do the text. There's nothing we can. I've tried everything I can with the text, but I'm not having any luck trying to centralise that because they move too much.
Gotcha.
Because we're not only trying to centralise it, but we're also trying to scale it to the right size.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't.
But it'll still be like we talked about before, even though you weren't able to find a different option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the greatest
Perfect.
storyteller I know, Love You Loser,
Yep.
will be on the left-hand side, and then prologue, page 1 will be on the right-hand side.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so that looks pretty perfect. And I don't know if you've got visibility over this, but timeline-wise, are we still on time for the production timeline? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Excellent.
That's 6 copies. It's fine. I'm not worried about that.
Okay, good.
Or once we get it right. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Andy. Really appreciate all your help. Oh my god. Like 50 minutes on the phone together to help me through every step of it and just really cared clearly about like doing a good job for me. And as you saw, we finally got there. It wasn't perfect, but like I couldn't do that in the moment and it was just going to delay things. The finished book is here and I am so excited and I wanted to show it to you, talk about how I feel about it, because if this is something that other people want to do, I think there's a couple things to be aware of before you get something like this printed. I used a company called Printed Easy. This is not sponsored or anything like that. I just had a really good experience with them. I think the prices were pretty reasonable. I paid £130 for 6 copies of this book. I'm keeping a couple of those and then I'm giving a couple to the people that helped me create it, and then obviously ultimately it is for my friend. If you were to just get one, it's gonna be most of that cost because the bulk of the cost goes into like approving the designs, setting up the printer, all of that. Multiple copies on top of that are then not very much. So that's why I figured I might as well get more copies. This is the finished book. I did think about trying to get either spot UV or gold foiling on the title, but that was quite expensive to do, so I didn't do that in the end. As you can see, the paint splatter in the background, it's not the most obvious. I probably would have upped the saturation on that one a little bit, but I don't think that's something that I would have known until getting the printed copy. And actually, even looking on camera, you can see it better than I could in the lighting when I first unboxed it. So that's fine. I think some of the small details you have to like look really closely at or they are gonna get lost, but that's fine. Again, that's just my design. I did pay for the linen lamination texture, which you can really only see like in the lighting. You see that sort of hatched effect. That's just meant to slightly make it look like it's got a linen-y texture. I paid so little for this. I think it was like £6 for all of them. So I think I would still pay that because I think it makes it look really nice. I think otherwise it might be like too shiny. Even though I got the like silk finish, I think it would be maybe too shiny if I didn't have that. And in the right light, it does create a nice effect. So I do like that. As you will have seen, I ended up being on the phone with Andy from Printed Easy for like nearly an hour trying to figure out the cover dimensions. And I'm gonna be honest, this is because the guide that they had up on the website was not correct. I have submitted that feedback, but this is a new product for them, so they're still working it out. So because I was trying to do this live on the phone, I didn't have time to like rescale all of these elements. I just had to kind of take the cover image that I created and put it into the new dimensions. And then I duplicated the background of this to be kind of the background of the overall thing. So that's why it's like red everywhere else. Well, actually, it's really evident on the back where there's actually a white line around it, which again, Andy pointed that out to me, but I just didn't have time to try to fix it. So I was like, you know what, I'll accept that. The biggest thing that I would change is with a hardback book, you've got this section here, which is called the hinge. So it's not part of the spine, which is this, and it's not part of the front cover, which kind of starts here and goes over. It's called the hinge. And he said some people prefer to center their cover with the spine, like between the spine and the edge, and some people prefer to between the hinge and the edge. And we chose to do it between the hinge and the edge. Looking at this, I would do it between the spine and the edge because it looks off-center to me. Not disastrously so, but I think this would look better with these like frame elements if it was centered to the spine. And also, because this was an image, like a static image that I was sort of scaling up and down, if I had centered it from the spine, it also would have gone further at the top and bottom, which I think would make it look more uniform, because you can see there's a lot more space here than there is here, and that's because of that. When I switched from the paperback to the hardback, I knew that I was really going to be cutting it close on timings because the paperbacks would have been delivered on Friday, so we had a little bit more wiggle room. I could have spent an extra day playing with the cover if it wasn't quite right, whereas because it was the last day that I could order it in order to get it on time, I had to kind of just go with what I had. I'm not mad about it. I still think it looks great. I love the ribbon bookmark. I'm really happy with the color that I chose. It doesn't really look like the color that it was online, but I actually think it matches my text quite well. And then there is the inside. So title page looks great on page 1. Happy with that. What I didn't do was then put a page gap in between that and the dedication, and then in between the dedication and the start of the prologue. So normally, in fact, I'm reading A Study in Drowning right now, you can see, normally you'd have the title page, then your dedication, and then your start. I don't have that. But again, that's fine. It's like a gift. It's not for publication, so I think that's okay. The last thing is that when I exported the interior pages from Scrivener, I did so using the like 4-print paperback option. When you do that, I have learned, it accounts for this bit in the middle here. I don't know what that's called, but basically the fact that there is paper that is not visible when you open the page, and it moves it a few millimeters to the left or right in an alternating way. So page 1 is a few millimeters too far to the right. Page 2 is a few millimeters too far to the left. And that is to account for this so that you can just upload it and print it. When they put it into their software, it also creates that allowance. So I was kind of doubling up on that allowance, and he was like, it might look weird and off center. And when I looked at the proof, it did look slightly off center, but I was like, at least it's symmetrical, right? Because since it's alternating, it means that there's just more space on that interior margin rather than like there being too much space always on the left. I don't think it looks bad at all. I personally can't see an off-center problem with that. So that's it. That's the finished product. I'm really happy with it. Are there things I would change? Absolutely there are. But I think that was always going to be the case. So I think she's going to love it anyway. Even if she notices those things, it will be secondary to her to the fact that this exists at all. 2 days until her party, until I get to give it to her. I'm so excited.
Can you get this way out? Yeah. So it is a puppy. Yeah, it's a puppy. Don't have nails. Paper is not sweet. Just, yeah.
No, I was going to say paper's not the same. You're not
To do that first. It's fine.
Oh.
No, you have to have card first. You have to have card first. Why do you make it sound like a soul game? It says now let the game begin.
twice has it been stolen by an ex-boyfriend slash whatever.
Happily. Here, give me that. I gotta show the camera. There you go. Right. Pull the way down. Big fan of that. Is this all because I told Pearly how to dig in your garden? It is, isn't it? Woman's. A frying pan. Flip it over. Make me feel like it is now. It's not. I forgot what it was. You're an asshole. Just rip it. I don't want to. It's my paper. I want to instead.
You try to outdo me or something. Do you want to? Come on, get up with the picture. Do you want to have?
What a fun night. I kind of joked with Steph's girlfriend that if I made Steph cry, that I did my job. Steph did cry. She was genuinely thrilled with it. And I was like, obviously thrilled to like talk to her about it and to tell her about the process and to tell her about all the decisions I had to make and stuff like that. I was getting texts last night after I got home that her girlfriend was reading it aloud to her and she was texting me about bits that she liked. So that made me really happy. This was such a fun project for me. I think I said this is the most fun that I have had writing in a long time. And I think I needed that feeling because it set me back a little bit in terms of my deadline. Yes, it has, of course. But ultimately, I took like a week and a half off to do the actual writing of this. And then the rest of it, I just kind of fit in around. And I'm also so glad that we got to celebrate my friend's birthday. She's the best. And if I talk about how much the best she is, I will get emotional. I will cry, and that is not what this channel is about. So happy birthday, Steph. And now back to your regularly scheduled writing. I've got a video coming up. I've teased it a couple times that is a repeat of my Goodreads alternatives experiment. And I'm pleased to say that I have actually stopped using Goodreads. So I have found an alternative that I am happy with. So if you don't want to miss that, be sure to hit subscribe and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.